Greetings, adventurers! This is Lorne, your guild advisor, and welcome to my cut content and episode review for DanMachi Season 2, Episode 8. Now, this is actually my last time filming from this location because I'll be moving tomorrow over the weekend into a new location, so forgive me if some videos start to slow down during that point. I'm just adjusting to the new environment and my new job, so forgive me if I'm a bit slow on that. But on to the episode, guys. First of all, this was probably my favorite episode of the entire season so far because it's been adapted pretty well, and there's some pretty intense moments, especially at the beginning and the ending of this episode. And there's a little announcement I like to make concerning DanMachi itself that coincides with something that's revealed here in the episode. So I'll go over that as well. But let's go ahead and dive in. So last episode left off in the middle of the Ishtar Familia ambush on Hestia Familia. Now in last week's video, I did say that the context for Hestia Familia being in the dungeon is a bit different. In the anime, they're just there in the dungeon to make money. But in the light novel, there's that context that Ishtar Familia set up a plot by making a trading company approach Hestia Familia to offer them a quest, and that's why Hestia Familia is down there in the dungeon. Now, like I said before, the ambush itself is on a much bigger scale in the light novel. Like, all the Amazons you see here in the episode are very involved or cornering the other Hestia Familia members. But here in the episode, you just see Aisha pluck Belle out from that Hestia Familia group and then just fight him one-on-one. But I would like to say I was very impressed with the animation just in this fight with Belle and Aisha. It was very impressive, and to be quite frank, I think it was a bit more impressive. This might be just recency bias, but I think it was more impressive than the culmination, the ending, the climax of the board game arc. So, like, obviously their focus is here with Volume 7, and as much as it pains me to say, like, how they didn't adapt the war game arc quite as well as I wanted to, they're doing a really good job here with Volume 7. So I'm happy that that sacrifice was not made quite in vain. But again, the context for Aisha and Belle's fight is also a tiny bit different because you see Mikoto come in immediately in the anime. But what happens in the light novel is that Aisha, she does pick Belle up and then drag him across that wall. I'm glad they kept that part in, but as she's dragging him across the wall and his back is being hit by all the bumps on the wall, she actually throws him down in the hole in the dungeon. And that's why Aisha is wondering why Mikoto is able to find him. Because she threw Belle down a hole in the dungeon in the light novel. And of course you see later on in the episode that Mikoto uses that White Crow skill that allows her to see, or allows her to detect people with the same fauna around her. And because Belle is in the same familia as Mikoto right now, she's able to sense where Belle is, and that's why she's able to go and locate him. And in the light novel, Mikoto and Belle actually do this pincer attack. So Belle and Mikoto are coming at Aisha from both sides, but because Aisha's level boosted, another thing that's revealed later on in the episode, because Aisha is level boosted to like having the status of basically a level 4 adventurer, she's able to quickly just kick Mikoto and then spin around, kick Belle in the face, and then she actually slams her heel down on Mikoto's neck, and that knocks her out. And of course Belle is just pummeled on the ground, and that's when Toad finds Belle. Pirne. I like calling her Toad because it's so much easier to say, and I like making fun of her. And then Toad actually punches Belle in the back, and he gets pinned against the wall of the dungeon, and actually is described that the impact is so hard it's actually cracking the dungeon walls, and those dungeon walls are really hard. So Pirne, level 5, very strong, and as you can see later on in the episode, she is a reason to be feared. But again, guys, even though the scale of the ambush itself was immensely lowered, I was impressed with the animation for the fight between Aisha and Belle and Mikoto. And it's just silly because they did keep that element of a lot of Ishtar Familia members being involved in the dungeon ambush, but keeping that element and then having the ambush be so small scale makes it seem kind of silly. Like, why did you bring all these Amazons if the only people that were going to be involved in this ambush are really just Aisha and Toad? So it's kind of funny in that regard, but I know what they're going for. They're trying to keep stuff from the light novel, but it's kind of awkward having all those Amazons there. And then we move on to that scene with Belle trapped in Toad's little love room, and he's just struggling to get out with all those chains around him, restraining his arms. And those chains are actually made of mithril. They're like Normally, like, adventurers can get out of stuff like that if it's just like normal chains, but they are mithril chains, and not even adventurers of Bel's level can get through them. And it's actually mentioned that they conduct magic as well. So if Bel were to try to like firebolt his way out of those chains would explode. And it's described in the light novel that if he did do that, it would blow his hands off. So not a good idea to try and use magic on those chains. But they do a really good job of showing just how desperate Bel is, how scared he is to get out of that room, because you don't want to be in a room with Toad and when she wants to feast on you. And it is terrifying for Bel. It's a traumatic experience for Bel because he is under the threat of being raped by Toad, and that's definitely not going to be a fun experience. And when you see that scene with Aisha saying that they need to find Bel because Toad took him, that scene is originally in the light novel. That's Ishtar being disappointed in Toad, but also not being surprised. But he's like, find Bel, we need him. And that's who actually delivers the orders. And one of her servants, Tammuz, her attendant, actually says and gives that context that Purnae actually gives her victims that aphrodisiac, which is that love juice that Purnae mentions in the episode. Like, oh, let me go get this love juice because clearly you're not attracted to me. And that's I want to be. I'm trying to hide the fact that she is indeed touching Bel's groin and checking to see if he's excited, but I'll just say it outright. Like, that's what she did, and that's why she's like, I'll get my love juice, and that's why she leaves. And Haruhime comes in, and in the light novel, it's described, Bel's thoughts are like, a goddess has appeared, Haruhime is here, and you see in the episode that he's just so thankful, so grateful that Haruhime is there, because he was traumatized by the experience with Toad, and I think anyone would be in that same room, seeing all that stuff in there. And then you see later on when Haruhime has that little flashback of her once following Toad into this room, and that's why she knows where this room is. Like, you see that body right there all bloodied up, and Haruhime seeing what Toad has done to that person. But here in the episode, you see that Haruhime has that resolve to defy Toad, free Mikoto, and free Bel, because she knows she's pretty much on death's door, because later on it's revealed in the episode that the Killing Stone ritual would essentially kill Haruhime. Now with Mikoto going around the Ishtar Familia home and just like basically being a ninja, that's actually taught to her. Like, those ninja skills are taught to her by Taki Mikazuchi, who is a god of war in Japanese mythology, and he taught all the Taki Mikazuchi Familia members like pretty much everything there is to know about combat, including those ninja type skills. And that's why Mikoto is going around like sticking the walls and going to the ceiling and all that. And in the light novel, she's actually using that White Crow skill to see if Bel is within the vicinity of the Ishtar Familia home, but she can't find him. But she does notice like a presence that she can't recognize. Like, White Crow should only detect people of the same blessing or fauna as Hestia Familia. And what actually happens in the light novel is that she actually ends up finding like the armory, and that's where the Hestia knife is. And because the Hestia knife is a special weapon and has that Hestia blessing, that's why she's able to detect it. And that's when she grabs her weapons and Bel's weapons and potion holster. And she also steals a few of the smoke and flash bombs from the Ishtar Familia home. Like, I'm going to steal this stuff because it might be useful later. Screw you guys for kidnapping us. And they do skip a scene with Lena and Aisha. Basically, Lena was supposed to be the lookout for Mikoto when she left her post to go and look for Toad, who took away Bel. And that's when Aisha realizes that Haruhime is probably the one that freed Mikoto with those keys. And during the conversation that Bel and Haruhime are having as they're going through these secret passages, it's actually connected to Daedalus Street. And some brief context on Daedalus Street itself, like, it's the streets of winding passages you might have seen during the Monsterphilia episodes when Bel and Hestia are running away from the Silverback in season 1. Daedalus Street was made by a person called Daedalus, and it's described as him being like this insane guy that's just incredibly devoted to his work, and he made all those twisted passages, and that's one of the passages that Haruhime and Toad uses to get to that secret love room of Toad's and also navigate their way back onto the pleasure quarter. So this Daedalus Street is like huge and full of secret passageways, and that's something to make note of for something much later down in Danmachi. And I know a lot of you guys might think that Bel is dense, and he is when it comes to like romance, but per like actual perception of things, he's actually a little bit bright, because in the light novel, as Haruhime is talking to him, like, she's saying things like, letting you go will be the last thing I ever do for myself, and making her peace and all that language. And he's like, sensing that something is amiss. Like, he can tell that the smile that Haruhime is giving him is fake, because he tells her that her and Mikoto and Hestia Familia are trying to buy her, and so she can be free. And he wants to see that same smile she gave Mikoto and the rest of Takemikazuchi Familia when they took her out during childhood and just went out and played in the Far East. But he can sense that that's not that smile. Like, it's a very sad smile. You see tears in her eyes, like something is wrong. And let's not forget this immense occasion in DanMachi history, because guys, for those of you that don't know, this character is Alan Frommel, the level 6 vice captain of Freya Familia. Some people actually thought this might have been Bet, but this is Alan, and you probably would not have known it as him if you haven't seen Sword Oratoria or read the light novels, because Alan makes his first appearance in the anime in Sword Oratoria when Freya Familia is trying to intimidate Aiz to not get too close to Belle when she's training him. And that scene was actually also supposed to happen in the main series, but they skipped through that. So this is our boy, Alan Frommel, Angry Cat Boy. And they really toned down his scene here because it's a bit more extensive than just like a few seconds of him and then being angry that he has to even observe Ishtar Familia because of Belle. But guys, this is pretty much the first time, like, any DanMachi fan, unless it happens in later light novels, but like all the light novels currently released here, this is the first time we've seen Alan's face. And we finally see it here in the anime. And there's also a announcement for a new Familia Chronicle, which is a light novel series, technically now, because there's Familia Chronicle episode Ryu, which is a light novel about Ryu, and now they announced Familia Chronicle episode Freya, and of course Alan is one of the characters. They revealed some character designs, and we got to see his face there as well, and I'll talk about that in a later video, but be excited for Alan. Now, like I said, Alan's scene in the light novel is a bit longer. He's basically getting information from a prostitute about the Ishtar Familia members looking for Belle, and he basically shuns her away, gives her payment. He's a bit more aggressive than that, because the Amazon, the Ishtar Familia member, thinks that Alan will make her his woman, but he instantly denies her, saying that she would taint his goddess's blessing, Freya's blessing, so he doesn't want anything to do with her. And they did leave out a scene with a female Freya Familia member reporting to Freya, just really saying that Alan and his team are still watching Ishtar Familia, and that Otaro is on his post at Daedalus Street. And during the explanation of the Killing Stone, there's actually a scene with Hermes and Osvi talking about it as well, but they do a good job delivering the context behind the Killing Stone. It works very similar to how it is in the light novel. Like, it takes that Renard's magic, stores it in that stone, and the power of that Renard is able to be shared by shattering that stone and then giving the shards to those individuals, and they can use that magic, in this case Haruhime's level boost. But one thing that the anime does change from the light novel is that you're not exactly dead when your soul is put into the Killing Stone. Like, if the Killing Stone is still intact and unharmed, you can actually return the soul to the physical body. But if it's shattered, you can still also return it. But if any one of those pieces is missing or is broken, then that soul is pretty much destroyed. Like it said, if that soul were to go back in that destroyed state, that the person would basically be a potato. They would basically not have any mental capability. But that's just a little context from the light novel. Like, it doesn't change much in the grand scheme of things, because essentially, if a Killing Stone were to be shattered, you're basically dead. But it's just a slight minor detail I want to make people aware of. And from that Killing Stone shard comment, we get to that scene between Haruhime, Belle, Mikoto, and Aisha, who now is restraining Haruhime and taunting Belle, like saying, you don't have the gall, you don't have the resolve to save this woman. And one of the things that Mikoto was like mad about Aisha about, that you don't see here in the anime because they changed the context of the Killing Stone itself, is that Aisha says, it'll be fine. Ishtar told us that she would make sure that all the shards get back together so we can get Haruhime back. That's when Mikoto like flips out. She gets pissed because she knows, like, if you are actually going to do a war with Freya Familia, the strongest Familia in Arario, you're not going to have every single shard to come back in one piece. It's just not possible. Haruhime's basically gone in this plan, and that's why Mikoto is so angry. And we also get that reveal of Aisha's backstory, and it's pretty tragic because she does reveal like she kind of resents Haruhime, but at the same time, she still destroyed the first killing stone that Ishtar was trying to use for that plan. And Aisha was severely punished for, like you see, like she was beaten within an inch of her life by Toad, and then charmed by Ishtar into basically being unable to resist any of Ishtar's orders. And that's why Aisha is doing all this. Like, she doesn't want to, but she pretty much has to, because she can't deny the will of her goddess at this point. And again, she questions Belle. Do you have the resolve, Belle? Are you able to sacrifice everything to save this woman? And as you can see here, Belle is very conflicted. Like, he wants to save Haruhime, first things first. That's something he desperately wants to do, but he's weighing that against the prospect of having a war against Ishtar Familia, because remember, he just got done with the war game, which is a tragic experience itself, and Ishtar Familia is a much stronger Familia. Like, you see him get traumatized by Toad. Like, that's one of the people that I would have to fight against if we were going to do this war with Ishtar Familia. Am I able to, me being the leader of this Familia, should I risk my Familia just to save Haruhime? Like, that sounds mean, but it's being realistic. Like, should I do this? He doesn't know. And that's what tears him so much. And that's when I'm like, have tears in my eyes reading the novel at that point. And then you see, like, Mikoto has to pull him away. Like, he's just standing there not knowing what to do. She has to pull him away and start running. And then there's those 3 words in the light novel that like hit me like a sack of bricks. And it's Belle, like, in first person, telling himself, I run away. And for some reason, those 3 words like just hit me, because I know how much Belle wants to save Haruhime. Like, he wants to save her, and he wants to be a hero. And him having to weigh that against endangering his Familia just tears him apart. And that's why I had that problem in the previous episode where, like, he tells Mikoto, yeah, let's go save Haruhime, but he says that not knowing about the concept of buying a prostitute. Like, he doesn't know about that yet. So when in the previous episode where the anime has him say, let's go save Haruhime, that's basically him saying, like, I don't care, let's go war. But that's not the case. So I thought that was really weird having him say that in the previous episode, because as you can see here, he does not have that resolve yet. And that pretty much concludes the episode. It covered about 60 pages altogether, because it went from about page 173 to 230. And I think we only have 2 episodes left in this arc, and then 2 more episodes after that to probably cover some stuff in Volume 8. Now, Volume 8 is actually a bigger book than Volume 7, but it's filled with a lot of, like, side stories, and there is one kind of main plot going throughout all of it, but I think they can do a good bit of it just in 2 episodes by kind of condensing a lot of the short stories, or just focusing on the ones that are more plot relevant. And then they might be able to actually relegate some of those other stories into OVAs, but we'll see what they do. But there's definitely going to be some other material besides Volume 7 in these next 4 episodes, because they only have about 100 or so pages to do for Volume 7, so we're going to see some content beyond Volume 7 at this point. But again, guys, I really enjoyed this episode. I think it's pretty much the best adapted episode of the season so far, and I can't wait to see what they do with the next 2 episodes, probably being the last 2 episodes of the arc and being the climax. It's going to be really exciting to watch, and I hope you guys will enjoy it as much as I will. Now, if you do play the DanMachi mobile game, DanMachi Moria Freeze, there is a new sub-story in there, and it continues like that storyline with Loki Familia members congratulating Belle on the war game. This time it's a scene with Tiona and Belle, and I really like Tiona's character. She's just a fun character, calling him Argonaut. So if you enjoy Tiona and you like her scenes with Belle, go ahead and give that sub-story a watch. I'm sure someone will put it on YouTube if you don't want to download the game. And just a slight warning, guys, Aisha was released in the game earlier, and if you look in her character bio, there's a huge spoiler for Volume 7, so definitely don't look at her character bio if you don't want to be spoiled on the upcoming episodes. I don't know why they did that, knowing that the season's not over yet, but oh well. And again, guys, I will be in the process of actually moving out over the course of this weekend, so video progress might be slow for next week, but I'll do my best to get everything set up. I am thinking about doing a quick video in the near future over this weekend about the announcement of a new Familia Chronicle installment in episode Freya, so look forward to that if I do decide to do that. I probably will, I just don't know when I will have the time to do such a thing. But to be on the lookout for that, and thank you guys so much for watching this week's video for cut content in Danmachi Season 2. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a comment down below and tell me what you liked about it. If you're a light novel reader, tell me if you were alright with the changes. There wasn't too many that were too crazy, so I think a lot of us light novel readers are pretty happy with this episode. But again, tell me your opinions on how it was handled. And guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to see more Danmachi content, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, follow me on Twitter, and join my Discord. And as always, continue enjoying your time adventuring Aurario and the dungeon. This is Lorne, your guild advisor, signing out.